What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this conversation. So let's talk about it. Rolling Stone and many other outlets are reporting that Cardi B scores $1.2 million repayment plan from gossip blogger Tasha K. Let's just get into the story, and then I want to share my thoughts about it, because for those of you who don't know, a couple of weeks ago, I did interview Tasha K over here on my channel, and I did get into some questions about bankruptcy and all, you know, how all that's working out. And actually, I wasn't really going to talk about that, but I was inspired to talk about it because of a troll that was in the comments during the live interview that said something along the lines of, if I'm not quoting it exactly, "You just refuse to shut your mouth. Why don't you go and pay Cardi B?" And this is the type of stuff that when I talked about this case, I wanted to speak to from the perspective of, there are a lot of people that really just wish that she would just roll over and die, just not exist anymore, and that she would be destroyed, ruined, her family would be non-existent, and she would just go off into oblivion to suffer for the rest of her life. And that is the type of stuff that I just feel is just downright cruel, disgusting. And although this was a civil situation, a civil case, where she was found guilty of doing something which was called defamation, she did not commit a crime. So it was crazy to me when I would see people talk about this from the perspective of, she destroyed Cardi B, or she hurt her physically in some way, or things like that. I'm not getting to the emotions or all of that type of stuff. But again, it's a civil case. And there have been so many other civil cases where people have done far worse, and people are allowed to continue to live their lives. This should not stop someone from continuing to exist and live their life. And that's what I would talk about. And I also did feel that the judgment that was awarded was excessive. And if she had better representation, it would not have amounted to that amount. Even if that was what was initially awarded, if she had better representation, she would have filed for her to get that reduced, and more likely than not, it would have been reduced. But I digress. Let's just go ahead and get into this article. And it says, after Cardi B won a $4 million defamation judgment against Tasha K 3 years ago, the gossip personality known for her YouTube series Unwind with Tasha K has agreed to pay the superstar rapper nearly $1.2 million over the next 5 years to settle her bankruptcy. A judge confirmed the Chapter 11 reorganization plan Monday. The blogger and podcaster, whose real name is Latasha Kibi, also agreed to refrain from saying or publishing anything, quote, derogatory, disparaging, or defamatory, end quote, about Cardi B, born Belcalis Almanzar, or any members of her family. Kibi further promised that no content whatsoever will appear on her social media accounts, websites, blogs, or other public channels, including the Wine Cellar podcast or Tasha K Live, related to the Grammy-winning artist. According to the bankruptcy plan obtained by Rolling Stone, Almanzar will receive monthly installment payments over the next 5 years, putting her in a priority position similar to that of the IRS. And it talks about other creditors and things like that. So the total tab for the full 5 years tops $1.178 million. The plan does not require Cardi to refrain from speaking about Kibi. And then her attorneys go on to do what Cardi has been paying them very well to do, and that is to speak about Tasha K in a way where this was not a win for her, but a win for the client. And I'm going to get into why I'm saying this. And I'm speaking from the perspective of someone who was a legal assistant for 12 years. Okay? So the attorney says, today marks the end of a multi-year long chapter of lies, deception, and fraudulent conveyance on the part of Tasha K., her husband, and their entities. We are thrilled to put in place such an incredibly unprecedented and protective plan for Cardi. I assume you will see the debtor and her swill counsel selling this as a win. Trust me, for all the reasons in the plan we insisted on to protect our client, that is not the case. And that was attorney Lisa Moore, who is representing one of the attorneys, I should say, because Cardi had a legal team and Tasha K had a lawyer for that case. And she continued to say, we don't believe the false tears and we protect against them. So the story continues and said, though the proposed plan covers less than the full $4 million judgment, Almanzar can still go after the remainder of the non-dischargeable award once the 5 years is over. That means Almanzar could again seek to garnish Kibi's wages down the line, potentially forcing Kibi to seek another bankruptcy and another repayment plan. In a statement, Tasha K's lawyer, Chad Van Horn, said the bankruptcy plan was a milestone agreement. He said Kibi's unsecured creditors, not including Almanzar, are set to receive about 30% of their allowed claims. By reaching this agreement, all parties can avoid prolonged litigation, fulfilling bankruptcy's essential purpose. This resolution also enables Ms. Kibi to focus on her work while repaying creditors in an organized manner. I hope this provides a helpful overview. Working with Ms. Kibi and her team has been a pleasure, and I wish her the best in the future. See, this is the type of stuff that I want to get to when it comes to the difference in statements. Now, listen, I'm not here to argue with anyone in the comments, so please save the arguments. I'm stating my opinion and also stating my opinions based on my experience in the legal field. Cardi B paid a lot of money to her legal team and probably is still paying. Tasha K, although this was a very expensive situation and lesson that she learned the lesson from it, and she has to continue to work so that she can pay the money. I mean, I don't understand why people felt like she should not have her YouTube channel anymore. She should not be able to talk about anybody anymore, because that's what she does. She is a gossip vlogger and blogger, and that's how she makes her money. It is a business, hence TMZ, The Inquirer, Star Magazine, E! Entertainment, just, name a few. Whether the topics of conversation are on the lighter side or on the medium or maybe the darker side, people are being either entertained or informed, and this is how they make their money. So you may not like how she's making her money, but this is how she makes her money. So how do you expect her to be able to pay the bill if she cannot continue to do what she does? She doesn't have to talk about Cardi B anymore because there's so many other people that do crazy stuff that she's not sitting there rubbing her hands, wishing, hoping, praying that somebody does something crazy so she can talk about it. Everybody's talking about it, but people go to her platform because they like her voice. They like how she shares her information that she's receiving or reporting on, and that's why she has the followers that she has, and she's making the money that she makes. And one of the reasons why, in my personal opinion, that I do believe that this is a loss for Cardi B, because even though they said after the 5 years is over, she has the right to go after her to try to get, more of the money. Do you know how much money that's going to cost her to continue to try to collect money that she's not going to get immediately? It just doesn't make any sense. And one of the points that I want to make, Tasha K does not have to say another word about Cardi B, because I still stand on this, and this is my opinion. Let's take out the stuff about, STDs or whatever. The fact of the matter is, a lot of the information that Tasha K was saying about Cardi B was true. And that is why, for the most part, she was really upset with Tasha K. It wasn't just because of that statement about the hurt. The hurt burp, if you don't have it, nobody wants to be, called infected or whatever if they don't really have something. But if you don't really have something, but something that is a sticking point for you, if someone's really pointing that out and talking about it over and over again, that's why you're really going to get upset. And her husband, who's still her husband, has been treating her dirty the entire time. And that is one of the main focuses that she talked about on her platform. She doesn't have to talk about it anymore because now her husband's doing it. And this is coming from Rolling Stone as well. And this was about a week or so ago. And it said, is Offset taking shots at Cardi B on new single 10? Offset's crass hook and other lyrics feel inspired by their tumultuous relationship. Offset released a track on Valentine's Day, but it doesn't sound like he was interested in placating the lovers. On his 10 single, he seems to be sniping at an ex, griping, "She bad, but she bad for an N-word," and bluntly letting them know on the hook, "You gonna have to F 10 more N-words to get over me." Over Afrobeats-inspired percussion, Offset gets into full scumbag mode, letting someone know, "I don't need you, I got money. I don't miss you, I got money. Love you, but not like money." The lines feel more than coincidental given his high-profile on-again, off-again relationship with Cardi B, who filed for divorce last August. Maybe Offset's merely exercising his artistic license on 10, but his choice to subvert the Valentine's Day vibes with a track about unrepentant infidelity feels calculated. Their marriage seemed to fracture in part because of cheating accusations both ways. Last year, Cardi talked to Rolling Stone's, whoever his name is, about fostering the healthiest marriage possible while balancing her career demands. And then it goes on and on. But I wanted to point that out because I will say this again. There are going to be people who are going to share their opinions. A lot of people just don't like Tasha K. A lot of people just don't like Cardi B. I do like Tasha K, and I don't care for Cardi B's music. I don't like a lot of her ways either, and a lot of things that she has said has been problematic. But I don't hate her because I don't even know her. But I do feel that she made a very, very bad decision by getting in a relationship and marrying that fool. And a lot of times the content that Tasha K was covering was about his cheating ways. And she was in denial about it for a long time, in public for sure, maybe not in private, I don't know, but definitely in public, because there were times when stuff was put out there and then he claimed that his social media got hacked, and she was agreeing with him and trying to prove that his social media got hacked because she did not want to look bad. Okay? She did not want to look bad. And who does? I'm not saying anyone would, want to have a husband who's out here screwing around on them, treating them like trash, screwing every chick that was willing to open their legs for them, and you knew that you felt like you were the prize. So I'm quite sure she felt very, very ridiculous and foolish that she got into a relationship with him and got pregnant by him and married him and had more kids and more kids, okay? So Tasha K really doesn't need to talk about her anymore. He's doing it. And I'm not laughing at it. I'm just like, how ironic is it? And she had to spend all of this money to try to, maybe she accomplished it, shut Tasha K up, but in the end, was it really worth it for her? For her. I'm not saying that this was not a headache for Tasha K, because I'm quite sure it is. It is not fun to have to deal with stuff like this in court, having to go through a bankruptcy. It's work. It's stressful. It's frustrating. It does cost money as well. It's not free to file for bankruptcy, but ultimately, in the end, bankruptcies don't mean broke, and it does not mean that you cannot start over. And right now, we have somebody who is in the office of presidency who's filed business bankruptcy multiple times. And I've had to let people know this as well, because a lot of people who are not educated, or they just hear what they hear the term bankruptcy and they want to equate that to meaning broke. There is a full term. The full term is bankruptcy protection, and there are different chapters, and there is personal and there's business. The protection is there for a reason. It stops creditors in their tracks so that you can reorganize, restructure, and ultimately move on with your life, because life happens. Sometimes things happen that are beyond our control. Sometimes things happen because it was decisions that we made. But ultimately, life don't care whether stuff happened to you by choice or by force. Seriously, life does not care. So with all of that being said, she did what she needed to do to save her business, to save herself, and I don't blame her for that. Anyone in their right mind would. And a lot of people in business, that is exactly what they will do. Some of them, they may not file for bankruptcy, but they will ask the courts to lower a judgment amount. It happens all the time. I've talked about that before in the T.I. and Tiny case. Their judgment got lowered. It didn't get lowered to the amount that the defendants wanted it to be lowered to, but it did get lowered. Companies that have been sued and they get these big judgments against them, they go back and they ask the courts to lower the judgment. And honestly, most of the time, it does get lowered. I've seen it in the legal field. I've seen it a lot, okay? So with all of that being said, you are going to see a lot of people that are in the legal field that are also content creators that are going to say, oh my God, this was a big win for Cardi B. This was a big win. And they're going to say it in terms of the way it's written, especially like in this article where it says that after the 5 years is up, she could go back after her for the rest of the money. That's not untrue, but it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. And it also doesn't mean that it makes financial sense. And here we are, how many years later? So you mean to tell me she would go through the hassle of trying to get more later and then having to wait possibly another 3 to 5 years to say, okay, we're not going to let this happen. We're going to file for bankruptcy protection again. And you're still not. So it's like you're going to continue to kick the can down the road just to try to get money that you really don't need to prove a point when you've already won. You won the judgment in the first place, and she's not talking about her anymore. She's not talking about a relationship anymore, but her husband is. Her husband definitely is. So it's just like, I just see this situation as one that she just needs to scrap up for the books. Her attorneys, her legal team, they've been paid exceptionally well to do the job that they have done and are doing for her. So even when it came down to the statement, they wanted to make it clear that Cardi B, she's paying us, so we still have to let y'all know that we still won. I don't care what it looks like, we still won. But yeah, I will say this and I will stand on this every single time. In situations like this, the attorneys, they win because they get their money. And you better believe Cardi B's legal team, they got their money. You don't see anything out here saying that Cardi B's legal team is suing her for their retainer fees or their hourly fees or anything like that, right? No, you don't. And that's because they have been paid. So ultimately, over all these years, and it costs more money to litigate than it does to settle out of court. So you better believe, for what Cardi B has paid her attorneys, I really do not believe that she won. I don't care what it looks like. Show us the legal fees that you paid. If you paid anything close to what the judgment is, or even a little bit less, it was not a win. Especially when you got your husband out here still doing the shit that Tasha K was reporting on in the first place that she did not want her to talk about. Flat out, period. So I just wanted to talk about that. You guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for being here. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.